Today on the Unofficial podcast, we go over the Denver Broncos' tough loss to the Atlanta Falcons, BYU's thumping of the Boise State Broncos in Albertson Stadium for the first time in school history. Talk about the NBA starting soon. I let go of a 3-year grudge. And the question of the week: how do you guys feel when people complain when your team is winning? It's time for the Unofficial podcast. Welcome, everyone, to this third episode of the Unofficial podcast. I'm your host, Dallin Smith, your humble host, Dallin Smith. We got a lot to talk on today. We've got some Denver Broncos. We got some BYU putting a hurt on the Boise State Broncos. We got some NBA. We got the 3-year grudge that I mentioned in the beginning. And we also have the question of the week, which I think is an interesting one, and one where people might not agree with me on this topic because maybe I'm a little weird with the topic. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the bad part of it. The first loss I've ever had to talk about on this podcast. The Denver Broncos went to Atlanta on Sunday. And they lost 34-27. It looks closer than the game was. Atlanta had a 20-3 lead at the half. It was 27-6 at the end of the third quarter. Denver stormed right back, just like they did a week before, but fell short, 34-27. Drew Lock went 25 for 48, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick. He ran for a touchdown. He had actually the most rushing yards of anybody in the game. 7 rushes for 47 yards, 1 touchdown. Philip Lindsay, 8 rushes for 23 yards. Melvin Gordon, 6 rushes for 18 yards. And then Hamler had 1 rush for 15 yards. Receiving, Jerry Jeudy had a monstrous game, 7 receptions for 125 yards and a touchdown. He caught a 41-yard touchdown pass. He was targeted 14 times. KJ Hamler had 6 catches, 75 yards. 36 was his longest. He had 10 targets. Noah Fant had 3 receptions, 45 yards. 32 was his longest. He had 3 targets, 3 for 3. Tim Patrick had 4 receptions for 29 yards and a touchdown. 9 was his long. And Hamlin had 2 receptions, 12 yards, no touchdown. I believe 9 is the long as well for him. Van Nant caught 1. Looks like Melvin Gordon caught 1. And unfortunately, AO out for the season with an ACL tear at the end of last game. 1 reception for 7 yards. The Broncos, look, man, I'm not going to sugarcoat this at all with what I'm about to talk about here on the podcast. They did very well in the fourth quarter. The whole rest of the game, I don't know what their problem was. They could not get the Falcons off the field to save their life. And then, the offensive line, the offensive line stinks. I'm just going to be honest. Like, the offensive line could not block and keep Locke, protected in the pocket. The pocket would collapse around him. And they weren't doing anything special. I don't feel like Atlanta was. They were just kind of rushing forward, and then boom, suddenly Atlanta players in the backfield with, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay, and Drew Lock. So, I mean, look, I don't know what to say anymore about that. A lot of people are putting the blame on Drew Lock squarely. And I'm not saying that Drew Lock didn't have a, reason for how bad they lost. Look, he played mediocre in the first half. It really kind of picked it up in the second half. He played a lot better in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. And he's something he vows to fix. And I believe the kid. I'm still on Drew Lock, folks. Defense played terrible. Offensive line couldn't block. There was just so many things. Look, I think Denver Broncos are a good team. Minus 2 things, or minus 1 thing, actually, the offensive line. Keep Garrett Bowles, because he's had a great season. I think he's proven that he wants to play for Denver. So keep him, pay Philip Lindsay, revamp the offensive line. I say, cut out the offensive line, because it sucks. It's a terrible offensive line. No matter who's in the game, no matter what adjustments are made, they cannot block. People are blaming Drew Lock because he wasn't reading right away that, people were coming up to actually blitz, and he wasn't telling the offensive line to block. My argument is that no matter what he was doing, they could not block. So, therefore, I don't think this was on Drew Lock at all. In fact, I think Drew Lock was one of the reasons why it was a 7-point loss. And people are saying, let's put Rippon in the game. He knows what he's doing with that. No, come on. You can make audibles at the line, and he knows how to run the offense quick. No, I am still convinced Drew Lock is the guy. He threw 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. So for the past 2 games, it's 5 touchdowns to 2 picks. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. I understand. Stats are just stats. I'm not making excuses for the Broncos. They just came out of the gate terrible, and that's what they need to fix. I mean, honestly, they could win a few of these games with how they looked on Sunday. They're 3-2 in their last 5 games. They were 3-1. They're averaging over 25 points a game. So, I mean, look, if you could get stops and then you could score like that with a full 60 minutes, you're in good shape. I'm not saying Denver's going to make the playoffs. In fact, even if they would have beat Atlanta, I would have said it was a really tall task for them to make the playoffs. But it's something to think about. It's something to think about for next year. And I think Jerry Jeudy is becoming a freaking star in the making. He played so amazing. I get he had a couple of drops. He's a rookie. I'm not gonna fault him for that last drop at the end of the game. He was one of the biggest reasons why Denver was in the game. Him and Drew Lock. Honestly, because if you look stat-wise, those 2 were the only 2 that had a decent game at all. Jerry Jeudy had a phenomenal game. And I may not know a lot, and this is looking at something stupid and not necessarily football, but I had 30 points, 30.88 points with Patrick Mahomes as my starting quarterback on my fantasy team. I had 29.99 for Drew Lock. That's how close he was. If Drew Lock can continue to put these numbers, put them up in a consistent rate, and put them up for 4 quarters, I'm telling you, the only team I see them that they can't beat is Buffalo and Kansas City. And I think if right now they're sitting at 3-5, if they actually go ahead and win, 6 out of their last 8 games they got, I think 6 out of their last 8 games, they could make the playoffs. It could happen. I just don't see it because you're not going to see consistency. Look, this is a year to kind of throw out because I don't feel like Denver was necessarily going anywhere. I didn't say anything like that last week. I hope I didn't say anything like that last week because I certainly don't believe it. If you're going to tell me Denver's making the playoffs, I hope so, but I'm not going to believe you. We've got the Oakland Raiders next week. We got Miami, Kansas City, Carolina, and I think there's Buffalo, and then the Chargers and Raiders again. So, I mean, look, it's going to be a tall order. That's why they're not giving Denver such a high percentage. Guys, just enjoy the ride. I know that this isn't enjoyable, but look, it's going to take time for Luck to really find his own. Okay, he didn't have a preseason. Again, I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying he didn't have a preseason. He hasn't played a lot. It takes longer for some players. And if you look at a guy like John Elway, I'm not comparing him to John Elway, but John Elway had his first big fourth quarter comeback, kind of like Drew Lock did against the Colts in 1983. Okay, 2 weeks later they go into the playoffs and get wrecked. And he doesn't play well in the last 2 games of the season. You don't talk about that because it's John Elway. And then the next season, he does really well. You have to take this, unfortunately, as the Broncos, Drew Lock, it's his rookie season. I mean, last year he played 5 games against kind of mediocre teams and somehow beat those mediocre teams. Except one, which that one wasn't a mediocre team. It was Kansas City that eventually went on to win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, there's a lot to be positive about, but there's a lot to be they need to work on that. I think the biggest thing for me, if they get off to better starts, I think maybe there's a shot. There's a shot if they can play like they did in the fourth quarter every quarter. You've got a young team, though, so the consistency is not going to be there. But if we see Drew Lock working on it and Jerry Jeudy's actually become the star that we're talking about, and then they can get the run game going, you never know what could happen. I think this Broncos defense is still really good. I think the issue with the two cornerbacks being out and not getting a pass rush, that's definitely no excuse. They didn't get a pass rush the whole game. And when they did, it didn't matter who was in the game. Ryan couldn't throw. The whole game I was sitting there like, send a blitz, and they wouldn't do it. 4-man rush, easy blocking, and he had all the time in the world, which was the exact opposite of what was happening with Drew Lock. They would put a 4-man rush and could still get in the backfield, which is why I say the offensive line is poopy. It's just not very good. Their offensive line is better. They took care of our pass rush. We didn't take care of their pass rush. Therefore, they scored 34 points. We scored 21, and they won the game. Now, if Locke doesn't throw that pick, which he is a rookie, so I'm not going to place that on him. It's a bad habit that he's trying to get rid of. He did throw that ball off his back foot. It was a terrible throw. I will admit that 100%. But I cannot deny that, look, he played as solid as he could for how bad this team looked on Sunday. But, we're going to move on from that. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Oakland Raiders game. Denver can win this game. Denver can flat out win this game. The defense needs to show up and no excuses. There's no excuses in the NFL, like I said. They didn't have their corners tough. Send a pass rush. Get into Carr's face the whole game. I don't care what corners you have. If he ain't got time to throw, he ain't going to throw it accurately. Maybe, a blind squirrel could find a catch every once in a while. But, I mean, that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get, what's it called? You're not going to get Carr throwing very many completions if he can get a pass rush and he can get into the backfield. Get off to a faster start and play loose the whole game. I don't know what it is about the fourth quarter and him just picking it up and playing loosey-goosey in the fourth quarter. He should be playing loose the whole way. But we're not expecting much from you, especially with this year. Go play and have fun. Don't worry about what everybody else says. I believe in you. I'll probably be the only analyst that does believe in you. I'll probably be the only fan that does. But I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say they believe in Locke. I do too. It's just, get off to a faster start. Play loose. Who cares what other people say? If you play loose, I guarantee you're going to be in much better shape than you were last game. The Raiders play defense like you have the whole season. Give time for Carr to throw the ball against pass rush like he did against Atlanta. Boom. Because those corners, look, if Denver had their corners with that pass rush, maybe Atlanta doesn't score as much. I don't know. But again, I'm not making excuses. The corners got to hold up, and if the corners aren't going to hold up, especially with an NFL-type quarterback, you're going to get burned. I don't care how good you are as a corner. I don't care if you're the best corner in the league. If Tom Brady, if Carr, if Patrick Mahomes, if any quarterback has time to throw, you're doomed. Like, it's just a question of how long is it going to take for him to either realize he can run, or how long is it going to take for him to realize that he can wait for the receiver to get open? In college, I mean, you can kind of get away with that, but in the NFL, no way. My prediction, I'm always going to pick my team because I believe in them. I'm going to pick Denver to win 24-17, maybe like a last-second touchdown with like 45 seconds left. Denver can win this game. They can win this game. They are a lot better than their record shows. They just need to show up, play a full 60 minutes for the rest of the season, and who knows? Maybe you even beat those two teams, I say. But you could go, 6-8, or I'm not sorry, 6-8, 6-2, the last bit, and maybe sneak in there and make the playoffs, especially with what I've heard what the committee was saying. If they have to delay it, top 8 teams make it. So if Denver can just strive to get that 8th spot or that 7th spot, they could make the playoffs. It's just a low percentage. I give it like a 5% chance that happens, but it is what it is. moving on now, we're going to be talking about the BYU Cougars. Ooh, what a great game Friday night. I had an amazing weekend, and it started out with this game. I was like super nervous for the whole start of the game. I think I even said last week, because I heard this from a ton of people. This game's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. This is going to be the toughest game BYU's had on their schedule. BYU's going to need to run the ball. BYU's going to need to set up the play action pass. The defense is going to have to show up. It's going to be a tough as crap game. You can throw that all out. You can throw out everything that was said about BYU. Them not being good enough. You can talk about their stupid schedule. You can throw all of it out. BYU dismantled one of the best teams in the country on their home turf. Because here's the thing, with or without fans, Boise State don't lose there. They've lost 10 times in I think 20 years at Albertson Stadium. And they've never lost that bad in the history of their school, or maybe even 20 years. I haven't looked up the history of their school. A lot of people are saying 20 years. 51-17. Zach Wilson, 21-27, 359 yards. I'm calling 3 touchdowns and a rush touchdown. Ferguson went 15 of 26, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Tyler Algier, 14 carries, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns with that sweet 86-yard touchdown run that he had to start the game. Van Bruin, 16 carries, 45 yards. And Gunnar Romney, 6 receptions, 133 yards. Kay Shakur, 10 receptions, 139 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Oh, let's talk about Dax Milne, who also had a heck of a game. I don't know his stat line because I can't see it. He was making catches all over the place. Him and Isaac Rex. Pau, big game he had. And it was just interesting. I was sitting there talking to my wife because she was like half asleep on the couch. She doesn't sorry, I bumped the mic there. She doesn't watch the games with me. She mainly just sleeps. I just told her, I'm like, look, this has been the most fun season. I'm happy that a team's this great that I've seen. Look, the Jazz have been good. Don't get me wrong. They haven't been great like this BYU team has. I don't want excuses. I don't want to hear it. There's no excuse. Oh, we're down to our 3rd string quarterback. Oh, we didn't have a starting running back. There was nobody hurt for your defense. You gave up 51 points. What's your excuse? Seriously, what's your excuse? I mean, come on. If the defense would have played better, then the offense would have had a chance. But you let it get to such a deep hole that the offense couldn't recover. I don't want excuses. We had Gunnar Romney last year. No, it wasn't Gunnar Romney. We had Brother Romney. I'm just going to call him that. Brother Romney. 3rd string quarterback. After the first 2 quarterbacks got hurt, I believe Zach Wilson got hurt like a couple games before. And then the Utah State game, the 2nd string got hurt. One in Provo, when y'all were looking to get into New Year's Eve 6 or to try to actually make the college football playoff. We didn't make excuses. We went out there and won. Don't give me excuses. You lost the game. BYU's a great team. Don't give me that. I didn't think it was going to go this way. I was very surprised. I've already said, throw everything bad that's been said about this BYU team, throw it out the window. Any doubts anybody's had, I've had them. I certainly know people that have. You throw them out. There's no reason to doubt this team anymore. This is a top 3 BYU team in my mind to ever play. And look, I hate hot takes, but I have genuine hot takes. I genuinely believe this is the 3rd best BYU team we've ever seen. It goes for me the 1984 National Championship team, the 95 team that was the last time BYU was in a New Year's Day or New Year's Eve 6 bowl game. Then this team. The defense, stout. Could not be stopped. That defensive line dominated their front seven. BYU's front seven dominated their defensive line. It was a massacre. And reason why I think Boise State fans are salty is because they don't lose there. Which you have every right. You don't lose there. But you played probably one of the best teams in the country and got your you know what handed to you. So the offense couldn't be stopped. They were explosive like they've been all year. Zach Wilson is, if Trevor Lawrence comes back, this may come back to bite me. He is the best quarterback in the country. I'm going to drink the blue Kool-Aid on this one. I'm going to put on the blue goggles. I don't care. I truly believe that. This kid threw it in such tight windows. He threw it right to where Gunnar Romney and where Dax Milne could actually get the ball. He's the best in the country. People play a lot of zone against Trevor Lawrence and all the other great quarterbacks. Because you know what? I just think they're that good, so they have to really kind of respect that. Boise State was playing man. And he's fitting it in these tight windows. Dax Milne is a junkyard dog. He's catching it, fighting for it, wanting it. This defense is amazing. It is amazing. This offense is amazing. Defense, offense, whole team, special teams. Come on, Oldroyd, 9 for 9. Come on. You can't deny this team isn't good. You can't deny this team isn't great. They moved up to 8th, and they moved up for a reason. Now, that being said, I said Zach Wilson probably isn't going to win the Heisman, but after this weekend and stuff I've heard, he's got a chance to win it. I don't think he will, but he's got a shot. Because he played like that and became one of the I think he became the highest rated player in the NCAA after this weekend. Some stat I saw, and it could have been after Friday, so if that's the case, then he probably isn't. But he's that good. He has the best numbers. He has played consistently, and this is where I was thinking this team is great. I said this after the third game, even when people doubted him after the UTSA game. The third game, wrecked him. Wrecked the first 3 opponents. Barely won to UTSA. Went to Houston, wrecked him. Took on Texas State, wrecked him. Took on flipping Western Kentucky, destroyed him. Went up to Albertson Stadium, destroyed him. With 2 out of their last 3 games scoring in the 50s. And this BYU team hasn't actually been under 40 except once, and that was the UTSA game. Twice they've let up 20 points. Twice. I don't care who you're playing. Consistency is consistency. This Boise State Broncos team is no joke. 51-17. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right? That's all I got to say about that. I'm going to mention the playoff possibilities. I said mention the playoff possibilities. I have written in my notes over here. But, they have a chance. Things got to go their way. And I really do think if they really want to make it, I'd schedule another opponent. I'm not saying this weekend. The athletic director was like, oh, let's schedule it this weekend. No, we're not saying that. We're saying whenever you can. I think BYU should play another game or two. And I think you got to go all out. Why don't you play Cincinnati? Because people are saying, look, well, if we end up getting the New Year's Eve 6, it could potentially be Cincinnati that BYU plays. Why not just play it right now? You could make it like the last game of the year. Winner goes to, either the New Year's Eve 6 or winner goes to, goes to the playoff. I think BYU could win that game. I really do. I think their defense has seen a passing attack quite like BYU's. And our run defense could stop them. They don't throw the ball that often. I was kind of skeptical before Boise State, but now I think BYU can beat anybody. And be honest. We have projected that we'd be in the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon. I think BYU could win that game. I get Oregon's lower ranked. They're a Power 5 team, though. This is how great this team is. So, I mean, there's not much I have to say on BYU. They just flat out did it, and you can throw everything bad anybody said. You can stop writing articles about how you doubt them. You can stop commenting to my buddy Jake Hatch that the stupid excuses. You can stop doing that. BYU is a great team. Accept it. Live it. You don't have to love it, but live it. Well, that was fun. No preview this week because BYU is not playing this week. They're going to play next week. Look, I get it. They played 7 straight times. Let them rest. They've earned it. Eighth ranked team in the country just destroyed Boise State. Yeah, let them rest. We're good. We're good for a minute. And we're going to be talking about some NBA news that recently came out. The NBA season is going to start December 22nd, I believe, with a 7-10 playoff. So if you are close in that range, the playoff to go to the playoffs, 72 games. It's going to be pretty sweet. I'm excited for it, like I said, and I think I'm going to do that. I think we're going to have a live podcast that day. That would be pretty cool to talk about the NBA, talk about the Jazz. I've got my Jazz Donovan Mitchell shirt on right now. I'm just that excited. No, I mean, I'm excited, but with the way the season ended last year and with all the promise the Jazz had, they got to do a lot more to give me more promises because I'm kind of tired of it and I'm sick of the excuses. Oh, we didn't have this. Oh, we didn't have that. I already said there's no excuses with the last 2 segments I did. So, come on, man. So I hope the Jazz do well. It is confirmed. I have a USA Today article. USA Today wouldn't lie. So, all right. Before we get to the good, bad, and the ugly, and the question of the week, I'm going to get rid of a 3-year-old grudge that I shouldn't have had in the first place. I even think this is stupid. And we're going to post this on my forum that I'm on the Jazz, Utah Jazz Diehards Unite. If you're a Utah Jazz fan and you're a diehard, go to that page. It's an amazing page full of amazing people. Y'all know what I'm going to talk about. Y'all should know. There's news recently. I don't know how true the rumors are, that Gordon Hayward is going to try to get out of his contract. Boston Celtics. Obviously, he's trying to do it to get more money, but made me smile because what if the Celtics don't pay him? He will have done everything to the Jazz that he did for no reason. July 4th, 2017, off the heels of the Jazz beating the Clippers in the first round in 7 games to a really good Clippers team, getting swept by the Warriors. I went to the last, fun fact, I went to the last playoff game, or last game ever with those green chairs. I did, fun fact. Which I like the new chairs better, by the way. I have gone to a game since then. The new chairs are comfy as heck. but I don't want to talk about that. Gordon Hayward was going to decide if he was going to stay with the Jazz or go to Boston. Now, I constantly check my phone for a lot, unless it's like right now because I'm filming stuff. Gordon Hayward is so annoying because he literally said that he was going to Boston. Something, quote unquote, got leaked out. And then he's like, nah, I haven't picked yet. Oh my goodness. And he claims it was because he didn't get his blog post out. Or he had blog posts, but he hadn't decided yet. And I don't know if he was decided or if he wasn't that. I don't know. Like, I don't know the whole situation. It was just weird. And Otto Porter Jr. and a couple of other guys that we were trying to get left, went to other teams, and we couldn't do anything because this dude was holding the Jazz hostage. Then he goes to Boston after it got leaked. Doesn't call Gail Miller. Doesn't thank her. Doesn't like feel gracious about his time in Utah. Which was so annoying to me. He complained about practicing. He complained about not becoming the guy. I'm going to talk about that part. What do you expect, Gordon? We're just going to give you $63 million when you scored 15 points a game? And your percentage wasn't even that high? You wouldn't take shots, man. You were not fearless. I didn't want him. I thought it was stupid that we decided to do that. I was like, go to Charlotte. Who cares? Nah, we pay him $63 million. Which, I guess you could say he earned it by getting that all-star bid. But, guess his only all-star bid, folks. With the Jazz. 2016-2017 season. He writes in this article about how he wants to be an all-star, win a championship. In the years that you've been there, Gordon, when has that happened? And you complain about being the guy. And it's been Kyrie. It's been Kemba. It's been Jason Tatum. It hasn't been you. So what are you complaining about? I just don't understand that. If you really, really, really wanted to be the guy, you'd be asking for the ball all the time. I think that's the thing. Look, Rudy and Donovan had their problems, but they're competitive. They want the ball because they want that moment. They want that moment in time. Donovan Mitchell wanted that moment in time. He wanted to take out those 3 Hall of Famers. He wanted to help the Jazz beat the Nuggets. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. That's okay. We moved to next year. No big deal. The steps that this young man, Donovan Mitchell, has taken over you, I just, come on, man. 20 points per game rookie year, 20 points per game, 7 years. What do you think I'm going to pick? And you could have been part of that, too. And you could have still been the guy because you would have went with Donovan Mitchell, who's the most humble guy in the world. You could have still had the ball at the end of the game. You could have got your money. Maybe built a championship team. Besides getting hurt, because that's horrible. Anybody who thinks he deserved that, don't even talk to me. That's ridiculous. He didn't deserve to get hurt just because he made a decision to go to Boston. I mentioned that because people say that. You're ridiculous. Come on. That is so stupid. Why would you even say something like that? Everything else, though, not winning a championship, not going to All-Star games, not getting your goals, I can't say as you don't deserve that. Not getting those things, I think you did deserve that. Karma is crazy, dude. I try to be as good as I can. I try not to say stupid things. Sometimes it happens, and karma comes back to bite me. It happens all the time. You can ask my wife. You can ask my brother-in-law. You can ask my sister. You can ask anybody. I've said stupid crap before, and in saying that stupid crap, karma went back to haunt me. Now, not to this extent, but it's something like, oh, we're playing a video game, and I'm like, I got him, and then the guy snipes me or something. That's kind of the extent I'm talking about. But for you to have done the Jazz that dirty, first off, you're lucky. I'm not going to say you're lucky. Jazz are lucky that Donovan Mitchell became as good as he did. We would have been screwed for the next few years. I thought we were done being in the dark ages. 25 wins, 38 wins, 42 wins. I got so sick of that, dude. The Jazz weren't even fun to follow. And then that magical season where they got 50 wins. For the first time in a really long time. I think something for the first time in like 8 or 9 years. Maybe even 7. I don't know. There was hope. And then he took it away. So yeah, I'm salty. I'm allowed to be. That's why I'm talking about it, because I want to let it go. It's ridiculous that anybody thinks differently, that I should just be like, oh, we don't need him, blah, blah, blah. We didn't need him. If you look now we're kind of scrambling to get that, and I think Bogey might be the answer. But my point is, he did us so dirty, and I couldn't let it go for a long time. I was so pissed at him. And this is gonna sound really weird, but I fantasize. I'm fat. There's no way I'm gonna make the NBA. Okay, so there's no way. If you're watching on YouTube, look at me. I'm fat. Nah, I ain't making the NBA. But I'd fantasize that I was skinnier. I'd make the NBA and just make him pay. If I could be in the NBA, I'd be like, oh, you're never. My drive would be to win championships, so he couldn't win championships. But luckily, there's people with more drive that are more athletic than me, and he hasn't won a championship. So just like, look, I don't care about the LeBron's little B word thing that he said. I don't care about. The fact is, him talking crap about this franchise that did nothing but cared about him, that treated him like a god, essentially. He just spits on him. That's what I didn't like. I don't care about the banter, maybe there'll be LeBron's little B word. I don't care about that. I don't care. If he's going to talk like whatever, I mean, it's just like friendly banter, doesn't matter. But the fact that you didn't call Gale, you talk about 3-hour practices, which Miles did that too. Not Miles. Trey Lyles did that too. I don't understand that. Maybe this is a different tangent, but look, my dad has always said this. My dad is an amazing pool player. Okay? He will beat you at pool. Because he taught me this. When you want to get good at something, you practice. And when you get tired of practicing, you practice some more. And then when you get tired of practicing more, you practice more. Hopefully this doesn't turn into the Allen Iverson, rant because I said that. But I've always practiced to get better at something. I'm not good at stuff. I have to practice my craft. But if you're good at, I just don't understand. If you're good at something, if you're that good in the NBA, you're going to make that kind of money. Why isn't your desire to just get better? And practice to get better instead of complaining to the media about it. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe you guys just wanted something to whine about because you didn't like it here. Whatever. If you didn't like it here, fine. Don't hear your butt on the doorknob on the way out. Fine, go. I don't care. At least somebody like Cantor didn't want to be here and just said that he didn't want to be here. I can't blame the guy if he doesn't want to be here. Who cares? You know, it just, all the stuff I mentioned, it just doesn't make sense. And today, I let go 3-year-old grudge with Gordon Hayward. Good luck. I hope you get signed with a team. I hope Boston wants to pay you. But I don't want you back. So there you go. All right, let's get to the good and bad of the ugly of the week. The good, locking the offense showed promise. Hopefully against the Raiders, we see a full 4 quarters of offense. BYU moves up to 8 and basically sealed a New Year's 6 Eve game. Zach Wilson's amazing game has kind of sealed him becoming a finalist and possibly winning the Heisman. Don't think he will, but you know what? I've been wrong before, and I hope I'm wrong there. The bad, the Broncos lost. All right, the ugly, that first half. The first 3 quarters of the Broncos-Falcons game. Oof, it was ugly. When you're down by that much, it's incredible that they even scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to come close to come back. If they could do that every quarter, the Broncos would be the best team in the league. But, hopefully, maybe they'll pick it up. I have no idea. All right, finally, the question of the week. Does it bug you when people complain when your team is winning? This is not a hard answer for me. Yes, it annoys me so bad. I'm watching the BYU game, and BYU scored 16 points in the first half, but Boise State had 3. I'm reading the comments, and I should stop doing that. Because the comments are just like, I don't know if people are trolling. I don't know if people really legitimately are mad at BYU for this. But they're like, oh, well, that last play was on Jeff Grimes, or that last play was on Sataki, so we couldn't score. I literally, when we didn't score that last touchdown or that last field goal going into halftime, and we were driving, I was like, we got him. Because they can't stop it. They couldn't stop it. And then the third quarter, 22 points. I was right. Huh. I just don't understand it. Like, I hear it all the time, and it gets so annoying. Look, I don't care if BYU or the Broncos win by 2 points. They won the game. That should matter at the end of the day. I'm telling you, if you look so bad, but you're winning, especially like the quarterback position, you're going to start. Look at Tim Tebow. The only reason why he didn't play a second year is because there was Peyton Manning. He won games. You know what I mean? He started and he won games. It didn't matter if it was pretty. He still did it. He had 5 straight fourth quarter comebacks. That doesn't matter though. Broncos won the games. They made the playoffs. And he was still the starter. And he threw that overtime touchdown to Marius Thomas. Come on, don't complain if your team's winning. It's stupid. I know you want perfection, but it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. Kalani Sitake, he was even like, well, we'll fix it. We didn't want it to go that way, but we'll fix it. I don't get it. Like, if somebody could explain it to me, why you feel that way when your team plays like bad, but they still win. I can't help you there. I can't tell you, look, this is how you should be, because it's not really how you should be. You know, I can't help you with that. Flat out. Anyway, folks, that was a really short question of the week. It's just easy. No, man. I can't stand people that do that. Next week will be probably a short week. We'll be talking about the Broncos against the Raiders. We'll get you ready for Miami against Denver. We'll get you ready for North Alabama and BYU. And then, we'll go from there. It's going to be a short week next week. It'll be crazy. And this was only 45 minutes. I was pretty surprised about that. Anyway, folks, I will see you later. Take care. Have a good day. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.